That is a good way to do it.
Spread the COVID.
Yeah.
Spread the COVID.
Fucking Scott Palava.
Earmuffs, kids, earmuffs.
Hang on. Where's it at? It's in here somewhere. I swear. No, that's not it. No, we don't want that one. No, that won't work either. This one. Yep. You can't hear it. You can hear it.
I heard it.
What? The beep?
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, Scott Palava has COVID.
Oh.
Yeah. So he's here, by the way.
I was like, I swear I saw him.
I think everybody just avoids Scott Palava anyway, so it's not a problem.
The COVID, yeah. It's the new variant. Do you know what mutated?
No.
Would you guess? Take a guess. What mutated? It's the exact same virus. One very small aspect of it mutated.
What?
The spike protein. Do you know how the vaccines work? I'm not going to continue. I don't want to get banned. We do try to put these on YouTube. YouTube's getting crazy. They are cracking down.
You ever seen his
They're not just cracking down on the coof. They're cracking down on anybody talking about anything medical that does not conform with like very set standards. Like, hey, you have to conform with this organization. And if you don't, you guys are going to get demonetized. Eric Berg, Dr. Eric Berg, he's a chiropractor. He's
a doctor.
Don't make all the chiropractors mad. Maybe we have chiropractor that listens. Anyway, so he's a chiropractor, but he does a lot of.
Hang on. No. I've got a very important question I need to ask first.
Yeah.
Did TSA say anything about the tinfoil hat that you put in your luggage?
Dr. Berg got demonetized on a bunch of his videos. He had the #1 video on YouTube about keto, the keto diet. Mm-hmm. The #1 video. You're talking millions upon millions upon millions of videos. He's got the #1 video, and that video got demonetized. And the reason is that a lot of his content does not conform with the set standards that YouTube has said are the definitive answers on
their truth.
Yeah, on the medicine and health. And
he's the dude with the diarrhea thing.
Does he have a diarrhea thing?
Yeah. It turns out that his strategy is if you get the stomach bug or if you get diarrhea, that if you eat a lot of probiotics, that it will fix it. And I don't know, it turns out it works. And
have you tested on this?
Oh yeah. We give our kids probiotics if they get sick and they feel better substantially faster. And so conventional medicine says, no, it doesn't work. There's no evidence that says that this works. The truth of it is we give our kids that and the stomach bug is dramatically shorter.
I think you need to talk to your doctor and conform to WHO standards, because otherwise we won't make our $3 on this video.
Man, I don't know how we're going to eat. We split a double cheeseburger between the two of us.
Cheerburger.
I was going to say, I just went to Mexico and I beg to differ.
Hold on. We got to introduce our guests.
Guest, introduce yourselves.
Go ahead, Kyle.
My name is Kyle Buss. I'm the shop foreman at GarageWorks in Inglewood, Colorado. We're an off-road shop in the town, and we do a lot of Jeeps and Mopar.
Yeah, I drove by it the other day.
Oh, hold on. We have two guests.
You must have seen
Jeez.
You must have seen how terrible it looked.
The lack of signage and.
No, I was just sad. I
feel bad that you guys have to work on Jeeps, junkiest vehicles on the road.
Hey, it's job security.
It's job security.
I don't know his name.
It's on my name tag. My name is Matt Radder, owner of GarageWorks, employer of Kyle.
That's
not
cool.
only me,
a couple others.
So you're you're the owner, and then the person that runs the place, you took them with you.
Yeah.
And then didn't close the shop.
That's right. Nope. Shop's open.
So has not yet burned down. You didn't see the fire trucks racing that direction here a few minutes ago.
Nope. I doubt it wouldn't catch on fire. Somebody might get crushed by. What was that crazy story that dude said?
Yeah. Extinguishers are working pretty well.
Are they certified?
Actually, that's my second job title is firefighter.
That's right.
In
Put
the
the
time
fires
that
out.
I've worked with and for him, I've had plenty of fires. Our first, the first place we worked together. I don't know. I should be telling the story because I think he's a listener too.
Just don't talk about the place.
Yeah.
Good.
But we were having a conversation much like the one we're having now. And 10 minutes prior, he had been welding in the corner, and I'm looking behind it. I'm like, wow, there's a fire over there. That's weird. And then like it dawned on me what was actually going on. And I was like, fire, fire, fire. And we all start running into each other. And then they're
Fighting over fire
fighting over
extinguishers.
the fire extinguisher.
Someone should just use it. Don't
Yeah.
fight over them. Just
Right.
use them.
Well, so like every fire we've ever had is like the very first one.
Literal
Okay.
fire or
We're not going to share this with Paul Danner. Okay, we're going to keep this to ourselves. Paul shouldn't hear this part, but the very first one was a can of brake cleaner looking for a vacuum leak, and instead of a vacuum leak, I found a spark leak. And the problem was it was after the whole can of brake cleaner that I found the spark leak.
Yeah.
And so my entire staff runs outside, and I'm like, they ran past fire extinguishers to go outside.
They're like, we're letting this thing burn. That's a well-trained staff.
Yeah.
They,
self-preservation.
yeah,
Yeah.
above keeping the shop afloat. Yeah, I did the same thing, but I wasn't looking for a vacuum leak. I was trying to clean off oil that had just spilled all over the car, and the car was. I sprayed everything with brake cleaner, just tons of brake cleaner, cleaned the oil off. Then I started it. There was a spark leak, and then just.
It's pretty intense.
I'm
Huh?
like, what should I do?
You sound very accidental.
Yeah. I think David probably was.
No, at the time I wanted to be a shop owner. Stupid. I know. Now, just let it burn. Let it go. It's fine. I'm
You
well
know,
insured.
I'm gonna give you a piece of advice. Fire extinguishers, if you expect them to work when you pick them up and use them, you have to tap them on the floor every so often. If you do not do that, the stuff inside becomes packed.
So we have to have ours checked once a year.
Oh, it does not matter. Oh, it
Really?
does not matter. I picked one up that he had checked maybe 2 weeks before, and it did not work. And he's like, sorry. I'm like, sorry.
that's the universe telling you something.
Yeah.
Hey, that fire extinguisher's not going to save you. You better let this thing burn to the ground.
Yeah.
Not yours place. Your place is nice. It's very pretty.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
What about your place?
It's it was built in 1929. Was added onto several times. We find signs and things. The wiring hadn't been upgraded. The code people told me that. Tens of thousands of dollars later.
Yep.
How did that feel to you?
It was like a gut punch. It was awful. I was days away from going completely bankrupt. Like, as in I ran out of cars. I didn't have any money, but at least I had work. And that was money.
Yep.
And I thought I was a couple days away from no work and no money. I'm done. Just a couple days. Like that close. You know what I was doing? I was emailing vendors and asking them can you float me a month?
I don't know if you know this.
You know who floated me a month?
Who?
Shopware.
They're good people.
What trash SMS are you guys using?
TechMetric.
I'm sorry, what? Hit the button.
Have you ever heard of that?
Thank you.
Wow.
They floated me a month for freezies.
Hey, I just look.
Do you know who else floated me a month?
Hey,
text me.
This is important. I don't want to
The
change the subject,
CEO
but
of the
this is
company
important,
emails
David.
me back and he goes, I got you, bro.
David.
And he floated me a month. I was that hard up. I was emailing companies asking them to float me.
Could you do me a huge favor?
What's that?
Could you stop tapping on stuff?
I was waiting for that.
Can you hear it?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's loud as all get out. Like it's deafening us.
This is why we wear headphones.
Do you need fidget toys? I've got fidget toys.
Saw one there's a table
out there.
Yeah.
Whole table.
Is there?
Yeah, there's fidget spinners out there.
I can't do the fidget spinners. Are just kind of boring. I like the squeezy toys.
Oh, they got ATI squeezy toys out there.
with no squeakers.
Yeah. No, I like just
okay.
I
Not a
busted
dog
one
toy.
though.
I
The stuff
actually
fell out.
found one in the shop the other day. It's my new toy. It's a tennis ball. I go around bouncing around, And I told him, I was like, if I come out in the shop and I find someone not doing something, if I hit you, you're fired. You're out.
See, I needed one him. Could just come fire people left and right.
I've offered.
You?
Yeah.
No.
What, you don't trust my firing skills?
No, that's fine. But, you know, they won't take you
questioning your
seriously. Like, get out of here, Lucas.
Oh, they take me seriously. I can make them take me seriously.
You're going to whip out the eviction finger.
That's exactly right.
Gone.
Give them an eviction sticker too.
You didn't give Matt stickers.
I've got a sticker.
Somewhere. I didn't get one.
Kyle didn't get one.
See, this is actually your fault, David.
We'll find it.
I did get to hear
You're the
story,
sticker
though.
guy.
It's in here somewhere
Yeah.
amongst many.
He hands out stickers like bumper, like business cards.
Maybe it's
Here, have a sticker.
Something about Matt. He's pretty good at firing customers. It's like one of my favorite things about him.
Customers are fine.
Yeah.
I have a harder time with
he's-
employees.
That we do too. We actually had a really hard time letting him.
Yeah, I want to hear
recently.
about this story, Matt.
I usually let them fire themselves.
It turns out
One
that
of
didn't
those.
work so good.
Sometimes
this
they
last
don't
time?
leave.
Well, they don't.
What if they
then
don't?
Then I guess you have to.
You have to. Yeah.
The problem with him and I is we're like really sympathetic people, and we really want to create an environment that is full of people we want to be around. And there could be like one personality trait that we were really drawn to in someone.
You hang on to that one
Yeah.
piece, and you're like, well, hey, today. So we'll come in the morning, and we're pissed, right? Yeah.
Ready to do the deal.
Ready. We're gonna. Okay. Today's the day.
Yeah.
He's late. An hour late.
He's had enough time to stew on it
Yep.
overnight.
It's gonna happen today, and then he comes in, and it's like full tilt all day.
Yeah. Oh, buddy. I've been
like,
there.
man.
They know.
They know. They knew what they were doing, right? But
Yeah.
and you're like, okay, well, maybe he's seeing something.
Yeah. So
And then the next day, it's the same thing again. And so
I did the exact same
you got to
thing.
write the letter at 8 a.m.
Yeah.
and you got to call HR and you got to cancel. You get the last check right then.
Yeah. So I'm just going to name the person that David needs to fire. So by the time the episode comes out, if he's not firing him, it's going to be like,
What are you doing to me?
before it's in your hand. You've been talking about it for 6 months.
Freaking weeks.
Guess we're lucky. We
6
won't
months?
Go, we won't
No.
go live now.
Maybe
We're
6
fine.
months. Yeah, this will come out in January of 2024.
We'll forget we had done it.
Yeah. Perfect. I remember the same thing. And I remember that like recognizing what was happening.
The patterns.
Yeah. And knowing that it was not healthy and that it was not working, but was not taking action, because every single time I was right there on the verge, I was ready to do it. Boys, they'd change. They'd have a completely different attitude the next day.
When you want to be, it's that same hero syndrome, right?
Yeah.
The same thing with the business side. It's that, well, I want to be the guy that can help this guy figure it out.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's some of that there too. And you're like, I
When
can
they're
fix.
young, I can fix him. I can turn him into the person I was, but now am. Right.
Yeah.
That's part of it too, is like when I was a young technician and, first in the automotive industry.
Because you're so old now.
Yeah, I'm not that
22.
I'm 30.
Oh,
But when I was 21,
Jesus
22,
Christ.
And a
I know.
half.
Yeah.
Did I get to that?
but when I was at that age where you're first starting out, you're a lube tech or an apprentice, you don't exactly take it seriously.
Yeah.
And I probably did a lot of dumb things, but at the end of the day, I always was really excited to come to work. And,
Yeah.
you hope that you can inspire someone
To
who is younger, new to the automotive industry. You hope you can inspire them to want to do what you do and
right.
be
I don't
around
know,
and
dude.
involved.
This TikTok generation, they're goofy.
It's hard. It's hard.
There's a different.
I don't get it, but it's difficult.
I'm not kidding.
Yeah, it's tough. It really is.
I don't know. I had a 19-year-old working for me. He did not appreciate any of my jokes, which was a problem. But
Well, your jokes
One
are
of-
pretty lame.
my jokes are fantastic. They're gold, all of them. Anyway, it's getting awkward. They're like, "Ooh, I'll talk about that."
So he's like, I hope they don't talk about my jokes.
He one of his jobs was to torque at the wheels of the car. Any car that came in the shop, we torque the wheels on before it leaves. Even if we don't do anything to the
Yeah,
car
100%.
or an oil change, we still torque the wheels.
Yep.
Because I don't want those wheels coming off. And so you check the torque on it. Well, he got it in his head that he could just set it to like 100 foot-pounds and then That's it. So he'd walk around with his torque wrench at 100 foot-pounds, and nobody told him this. He had been to tech school, and somehow he got it that this was okay. And so at some point, he had checked the torque on the wheels of a Ford something, and the torque spec's like 148 foot-pound or whatever. It was more than the torque wrench that he had. And we asked him, hey, did you check the torque on those wheels? He's like, yeah, they're good. Okay. Did you ask one of the other techs for the torque wrench? No, I use the one I normally use. Okay, but the torque on that car, on that truck, is higher than what your torque wrench will go. Well, I just stuck him at 100. You just checking every car at 100? Yeah.
You're telling me this now?
Hondas? Yeah. Little car, like every car? Yeah. What if it's more than 100? It's like, I don't know where to check. We give you the phone. The torque spec's on the phone. We've shown you this. Oh, well, you know what? He didn't. He fired himself.
I like it.
Yeah.
It's easier.
It is easier.
But and then a month later, you realize, should have done that.
I should have done it sooner. Yeah.
You said something earlier about how you looked at his year-to-date cost.
Oh, yeah.
What you had paid him.
And what I think we got.
And you compare that to things you could spend that money on instead.
Yeah, for sure. Well,
Good thing he doesn't listen to this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
kind of the last one that was
Not hard to figure it out.
Yeah.
the last one that made their exit from our facility. It had gotten to the point that like you could see the good drive. You could see when they were at it. But then you could also see this day that, well, I'm going to spend all day doing a headlight reconditioning. And like you could say something to them and it didn't change anything. And it was like, I'm just
hardest part. I think the hardest part for me is when that's a tie to something that's likely in their personal lives, right? When it's not about you and it's not about the shop and it's just, you know, we had one that a full-time tech that left, the same kind of thing, right? Yeah. It's like, you want it to be what it was.
You do.
Sometimes you can't get it back there.
You do, but here's the problem is that in life, if there is no consequence for action, then we're in trouble.
Yep.
Right. And so what I figured was as I was helping, but what I was doing was hurting.
Sure.
Right. Because I was not enforcing any type of consequence for bad behavior. So therefore I become an enabler.
That's a good way to put it.
And so
you're enabling bad behavior.
You know, and
destructive behavior.
Yeah.
And so and them.
Yeah.
Well, specifically to them, because you're just eating it.
Sure.
You're just paying them for subpar work or no work.
I think for us too, it was causing us to be wishy-washy, and you know, it would have us flip-flop on stuff where, you know, we would then become inconsistent in doing our own personal tasks.
And
you give up on something just because you're like, all right, we need to figure out another way to make this person successful.
Because they're unwilling to do this.
Yeah.
So I have to do, and
trade it out.
That takes me back to the Nate thing. God rest his soul. Like, you know, when we were going through all that trouble and all that mess was going on, you know, one, I feel like had I stepped in and said, I'm not tolerating this, and he had gone on, I think it may have been a red flag to everybody in his life. Something's up, right? And he may have, and I can't be responsible for what dude does, right? I can't be responsible for his actions. But then in the same aspect, I think about how much further along I would have been with the shop right now, even though he's been gone for years. If I had, because it stopped me from implementing process. It stopped me from truly implementing DVIs. It stopped me from truly implementing the 300% rule. It stopped me from doing things because he always had a problem with everything. And so I never implemented the things because I was always thinking, well, am I wrong or is he wrong?
Sure. You start to second guess yourself.
Question your own morals.
Exactly. Question your own spot, and then that does no one any good.
Well, I mean, think about how many technicians, shop owner comes back and says, we're going to do this. And how many technicians are like, right?
Going back to the torquing the wheels thing. We had a technician who is older than the both of us.
Combined. No, not quite.
No, not quite. But explaining to him that we torque wheels, every car that comes through the shop, the wheels get torqued. And that was something he didn't do before our shop.
Torque sticks.
It was
the
just
biggest. I hate torque sticks. Sorry.
Yeah. I mean, I don't.
Sure, you can put them on. They have a
I don't
spray.
mind to run them on.
Put them on.
Yeah,
for
put them on with that. It
sticks.
keeps you from over torquing it, but that is not the last thing to touch that lug nut.
Absolutely. And even Eric, who's an extremely experienced technician, we've had conversations. And like when he first started, I said, here's what I expect. And he's like, wait, you're serious.
Yeah.
I don't remember what happened with that. Didn't it happen once and I said something or you said?
I think I went to him first and then I told you to reiterate because then it just...
Because you saw it happen without
we're
him.
all on the same page. It needs to be that way.
Hey, I know Kyle told you to do this. This is how it works here. This is a hill we die on, right? This is where buck stops here.
Absolutely.
So,
and how many times have you seen shops that lose that process?
It's a consistency thing.
Exactly. And now,
for something like that though, it's very consequential. Like you make a mistake on that, you use just a torque stick or whatever, wheel comes off. That's dangerous, right? Now we've got an issue. But sometimes you let go of the inconsequential. Like I've got a tech that will not check the tickets before he gets started on the work. He sees the part, he puts the part on, car leaves.
Oh, the oil leak.
What oil leak?
Clips. Is this the tech that didn't read about the clips for the oil leak?
Oh, yeah. So he was supposed to put oil cooler lines on. The oil cooler lines had clips on there. Like, check the ticket. Just open the ticket, see your parts list. Make sure, that's another thing. Like, make sure you have your parts. Because if we forget to order something, you don't want to be in the middle of the job. The car has to leave today, and nobody noticed that the parts didn't show up, right? Check for your parts. Make sure they're right. Like we should do our jobs. We should check everything off. Okay, fine. But make sure they're right. Don't come to me with everything disassembled and go, this part isn't right. I lose it when that, like, you couldn't tell me when you started? Like, you knew what it looked like. You couldn't tell me before you said, well, I didn't think it. Anyway, so he didn't put new clips on. Line pops off. Sprays oil absolutely everywhere on this truck. And he calls me. He's like, the line's popped off. I'm like, did you use the new clips?
It's on the test drive?
I don't think he even pulled it out.
Oh.
I think he started it. And like, wow, pop. 80 PSI, just. And I go, did the old clips break? Like, did you, what clips? The ones on your part shelf, dear. And he's like, oh, I didn't see them, man. Did you look at the ticket? No. I can see if he's opened the ticket. He hadn't even opened the ticket. And so it's stuff like that. Like, okay, so that made a mess. But there were 8,000 tickets that didn't get checked before that. Does that make sense? And I'm not babysitting it. So
how many other things? Tiny things
you let go along the process there that then turned into something consequential, but you let it go because it's not, okay, he didn't check it. It's not that big a deal, but it is.
And
you let it go and it stacks.
And it stacks. And it stacks. And I'm going to tell you something. If you let somebody get to the point that they think they've got one over on you, or they think that you're not going to do something about it, it becomes a game for them. They'll push just to see.
Those are psychopaths. That's a really small percentage.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
I'm telling you what it is that they go, this is outside my comfort zone. I don't want to do it. So I'm going to see if they're going to make me do it.
Just test it.
They're going to test because they're like,
a kid.
Don't do it. They called me out on it. Don't do it. They wrote me up. Okay. I'm going to now stretch myself to make this part of what I do. Or they quit. They fire themselves. Or you're forced to fire them. But they'll test. And I think 9 times out of 10, the shop owner acquiesces and goes, well, I guess it's not that big a deal that they don't check the ticket. It's not that big a deal that they don't clock in and out of the jobs. It's not that big a deal. And you start to let go.
You don't hold them accountable to it. You don't set your expectations. And then the next guy you bring on does the same thing, even though they are better than that.
That's the standard.
Yeah, you keep them away from that guy.
I don't think that's a very effective strategy.
That is not an effective strategy. Yeah,
how's it worked out for you?
It is not. No.
I mean, look, I don't know. I've had employees in the past Have you ever had your kids, like they come in and they decide that they're going to help you clean up and they clean so poorly they make a bigger mess?
Yeah.
It's kind of their way.
Cute when they do it though. When the kids do it.
Well, but you know what I'm saying though? Like now all of a sudden they don't have to clean again.
Cute. Do you have kids? You guys have kids?
Yep.
Yeah.
2. Nope.
You don't have any? Yeah. You're still young.
Just the 4-legged kind.
Yeah, I've got 2 dogs if that counts.
No, they don't.
They make messes.
They
David
sure do.
hates dogs.
They don't help. to
No,
clean
I
up.
love dogs. What are you talking about? I hate people that call them dogs. Like, where's my fur babies? They're not.
Yeah, definitely
No.
do that.
I drives me crazy. Like, do you have any kids? No. Okay, it's not the same. It's not the same. Oh, you need surgery? That's expensive surgery. Go ahead and put them down. That's what you do with a. Oops. That's what you do. It's so cold in here, dude. That's what you do with a dog. You don't do that with the kid. The kid gets the surgery, regardless. At some point, you have to put the dog down. You don't old yeller your kid. You don't. I got to take the dog out back and shoot it. I have to. It's got the rabies or whatever, the mange.
I mean, I just need to point out that like
It's so cold in here. My ring fell off my finger. It's so cold. I'm freezing. I don't know why. You know what it is?
yeah, that you hate dogs. You've got a very cold heart.
No, I don't hate dogs. What are you talking about?
Dude, if we went back and listened to you talking about that golden retriever, go over there and sniff that tripod
It's
right
not
there.
that one. It's not that one. It's I think it's the one next to you.
Well, come over here.
It's not my dog though. It's not my dog. It's my father-in-law's dog. I hate that dog so much. Never hated that dog so much. That's stupid. He's stupid. He's a pure bred yellow lab. And you're thinking, well, okay, he's a beautiful dog, but he's also inbred. And so you can just imagine like the stupidest dog. He's dumb. He's dumpy too, with like a big fat yellow lab head. And he like one eyeball's going that way, the other one's going the other way. And he's just looking at you.
Got Forrest
And you
Whitaker
know,
eyes.
dude, no, I have Forrest Whitaker eye. I've got the lazy eye. No, he's got like
These tripods. We're in Pennsylvania, and David pulls these tripods out, and he's like, and I'm like, what are you doing?
I'm handling the tripod, and I'm like,
And he's
why
like,
is the tripod sticky? No, not like the tripod's sticky, and I'm looking at it. I look at the tripod; it's covered in something sticky, and I go, it's dog piss. I'm like, that, and the tripods sit in my bedroom, like in this corner where my wife doesn't touch my stuff. Like I've got this little corner of the bedroom where she just leaves it alone. She knows that's my pile. I pile clothes and I've got stuff. I got everything. She leaves it alone. She leaves me alone with that pile. And I put the tripods there. And at some point, that dog found it appropriate to go into my bedroom and piss all over that corner.
so Home Slice over here gets him some cleaner, and he starts spraying it down. When he sprays it down, it wets it, and so
smells worse.
now the whole room smells like it. So this entire event,
The dog
David's
pisses all over the house. He just finds a corner that doesn't smell like piss, and he's like, "Oh, mine now," and he pees all over it. So now we've got like
Let's find out it's your father-in-law doing it, not the dog.
he can't make it to that part of the house. Like he shuffles. He's got a path. Trust me, it's not him. He leaves his own messes.
Physically impossible.
It's physically impossible for him to make it to that corner and whip it out and then piss all over it's not going to be a thing. The dog, however, does it for him. And so like
Proxy
every maybe that might be a thing.
Proxy
and
pissing.
everybody's told us that the dog needs to be fixed. And that'll slow it down at least, because the dog's not. My father-in-law's like, "Oh, you'll take out you'll crush his playful spirit." What are you talking about? The dog humps everything. On top of that, he's pissing on everything. He's ruined my house, destroyed all my carpet, destroyed the furniture, the walls.
up here.
He pisses on the walls. We have streams of my poor wife. She like follows him around and cleans it off. I want to shoot the dog. That's all I want to do. I told George, my father, I told George, I said, the day you die, I'm going to shoot this dog and I'm going to bury it out in the backyard. And every morning I'm going to enjoy watching my dog piss piss all over your dead dog's bones.
It started with him arguing he did not have a cold heart.
I hate that dog so much.
Just saying.
He's not exactly making a case.
I just want to point out that like he did say he didn't hate dogs.
He did?
Right?
Just one dog.
Just that dog. Just that dog.
I was just curious. I just wanted to make sure.
I've been good to my dogs. I love my dogs. I've been good to sweet time. Look, I have this little dog. Her name was Annie. Loved my little Annie Fufu. This little tiny dog. This lady that I used to work with, she found this dog like just walking around all like mangy and mangled up, and she had like stuff all in her fur and stuff. And so she decided, I'm going to take care of this dog. So she took her and got her groomed up and got her shots and made sure the dog was healthy. And then one day somebody got in this dog's face and the dog bit the person in the face. And once the dog bites a human, apparently, like you kill the dog or some whatever. This dog's like this big, okay? So the rule's like, don't get in the dog's face. There's something wrong with the dog. It triggers, I think the dog was half blind too. It snaps at you and will bite you in the face. So one day we're at work and she's crying and she's like, I'm like, what's going on? Like, we're going to have to put Annie down. I'm like, why do you have to kill Annie? It was a little orphan Annie. That's why they named her Annie. Anyway. we're going to have to put her down. And I'm like, why? Well, she bit my brother in the face. I'm like, don't put her down. I'm like, we'll take her. So we took her. And I had her for years. She bit my brother-in-law in the face.
He deserved
that. He deserved it. And I loved her so much more after that. We had this little dog that we kept for years that they were going to put down. I love dogs. I loved my dogs. This dog, however, is awful. It's the worst dog ever. And you can't train. You're like, oh, you're just a bad owner. You can't train. He's stupid. He is stupid. He's untrainable. He's too dumb.
Wait, are you talking about your tech or the dog?
Tech's given up. He doesn't care anymore. The dog, however, doesn't know better.
Does your tech know where the bathroom is?
Here's what happens sometimes. The tech does not like to lift the toilet seat up, which is not a problem, I guess, for the most part. I don't care, whatever. I don't poop at work, but I don't. No pooping at work. That's what I tell my techs. No pooping at work, poop at home. Anyway, he doesn't lift the toilet seat up. And we have a female worker there. And she does not appreciate it when he like just whips it out and just, I don't think he even holds. I think he's like, does this thing. He's all over the place. He's windmilling it. And then he's done and he walks out and then you walk in and you're like, what the hell just happened in here? I clean it most of the time.
We had one that, and I don't know. I think we never figured out who it was, but somebody like, I know that Scott walked into the office one day and I mean, he was like the color of that cable right there. He was so upset. And he's like, whoever the fuck is blowing this toilet up is going to stop. And I'm like, bro, y'all got your own bathroom back there for a reason because like it normally smells really bad. I put in a really high volume fan, to make sure like it'll almost suck your clothes off if you turn it on and the door's open. You know, you got to be careful. And so he said, "No, you don't understand." And so like I walk back there and somebody has clearly like been standing up pooping, and it's like on the toilet seat.
Standing up?
It's on the top of the tank.
You know, I had one tech, he called it, he would say, hey, I got to go poop. And I'm like, dude, I got a waiter. And he's like, no, I'm going to go Hadouken it. And I'm like, what? It's like, I'm just going to spread the butt cheeks out and blast it out. I'll be out in a minute. Was it like that? Or did the guy have like diarrhea and he sprayed?
It looked
physically impossible.
It looked like it dripped onto the toilet seat. It looked like one just went punk and then fell in the toilet seat or fell in the toilet. And like, we don't know. We suspect it was the same one that we had to change our internet settings for.
Why did you have to change your internet settings?
Because I come to work one morning and I got an alert. I typically do not look at what people are looking at. It's none of my business. I don't care what you look at on your phone.
You're paying for the internet. It's kind of your business.
Well, I understand, but I trust everybody that works for me. And so like everybody had been saying this. One particular person was spending a ton of time in the bathroom. They're like, it is nonstop, man.
Oh no, I don't like. Okay.
Not sure
We know where this is going.
And so I found 4 gigs.
4 gigs?
4 gigs in less than 30 days. Because this person hadn't started. It was 4 gigs in less than 30 days to a particular website.
Impressive.
And so I blocked
The same
it.
website?
I think
So I
that's more than
blocked it.
did
And then it
in-house.
was a different website. And
Oh,
then I
you
blocked
could
that. And it was
bounce
a
it
different
around?
website. And then it started popping up as Reddit. And so everybody came in one morning.
Reddit?
Yeah. So everybody came in one morning and I was like, guys, I've just got a question. And they're like, what? And I'm like, I know this is going to be super uncomfortable.
You had the conversation?
I'm like, it's none of my business what you look at on your telephone. But the fact that we have enough time in the day to consume approximately 1 gigabyte of pornographic material.
Earmuffs, kids.
There's
I'm going to have to not play this episode on my kids.
what that's a
They're going to
background?
ask me, hey, Daddy, what's this? Listen, they're still little. They're still little. I don't want to have to explain this to them. You see, when the mommy and the daddy...
I could not imagine
I
him
was
having
listening
the
to a
birds and bees
podcast
talk.
and somebody was saying like sex over and over and over. It was a political podcast where they had political undertones anyway. And they were talking about chomos and that situation and like, and my daughter's like, Daddy, what's sex? And I said, don't worry about it. And then clicked it off. I'm not having that conversation with you.
And then my daughter,
If she pressed, I would have said it was smooching.
my 13-year-old sending me that video that we watched earlier. It's terrible.
Well, maybe at 13 that's going to be a thing, but my daughter's not 13, so
What did they do when you had that conversation with them? How did that end up?
Nobody said a word.
this is making me uncomfortable. I would try to veer off of it.
We had
It was complete
a
silence.
technician that was spending so much time in the bathroom.
He had a shadow.
There was a shadow on the wall. Our freshly painted white walls, there was an outline of that person.
What from what?
He's just so dirty.
He wasn't making
was
stuff like
greasy.
pig pen. I mean, he wasn't like, I mean, like he rolled around in the dirt. He wasn't working that hard, but just big guy.
It was
Toilet's
impressive,
kind of
though.
close to
Like-
the wall.
Oh, and he would press up against
Yeah,
it.
like-
Yeah, that's a thing.
But he didn't move. I mean, it's
Oh,
not
yeah.
like there was a streak from his hand, so that's good. Right? His arm wasn't moving.
Don't do
Which
that.
hand? Which hand? I guess that's a good point. Maybe it was the other.
the free
why it
one.
was-
That's why you didn't
Crap.
even consider it.
Didn't even think of it. I saw the shadow. I was like, okay, we're good.
Listen, I don't want to think that that's. I've got a tech that spends a little too much time in the bathroom. I don't want to even go down that road.
I have a solution. So I worked at a dealership when I was 20, 21, and it was probably the most vulgar group of human beings I've ever worked with.
Sounds like we
Love
fit
them
right
to
in,
death. It was probably my most fun
right?
dealership experience, and they were always pranking each other. Like
Yeah.
They'd put drill a hole in Def bottles,
Mhm.
put a tire valve stem in there, and then zip tie the air chuck to it and throw it in a trash can next to someone until it blew up. And it would make the most
I love that.
crazy sound and scare the crap out of you. Anyone that spent too much time in the bathroom, that was grounds to be messed with. So they would go to Taco Bell and Burger King or whatever and get ketchup packets and hot
Put 'em
sauce.
under the toilet
They would
seat.
put them under the toilet seats if you spent too much time in the bathroom. And they would do that. And if you ever got it, you knew like, all right, I need to stay out of the bathroom. I need to focus. And like
The
it
old
was probably an HR nightmare, but it worked.
The old shop.
There you go.
The old shop had the floor was charred because it had like a different floor in the bathroom, and the floor was charred right at the edge of that. And so we had got to the point like you could see underneath the bathroom door just a little bit, and we'd like toss firecrackers and stuff in there like nobody's business.
Firecrackers?
Yeah,
That sounds
motion light.
dangerous.
And so like finally I got to the point, my foe,
Yeah,
right, my cousin, he was always in there, and it was always like 30 minutes, 45 minutes, an hour. And so finally we just got to the point we were taking cans of brake cleaner. I'm going to tell you what, if you light a can of brake cleaner under the door, there is only so long that MFer will stay in that bathroom.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you what, you cover that floor in brake cleaner and you light it, you're going to need to come out and get a fire extinguisher sooner or later. You ain't coming out. I'm just going to be real with you.
It's a more reasonable approach to it. If you get the motion lights that turn off after,
There you go.
sit there
Oh,
long.
that's an idea.
We had that in
You
our
just can't-
first shop. And
Can't have it face the toilet. It's got to face away, face the door.
Right?
so if nobody goes in there for a certain amount of time, the lights go out.
There you go. That's a
It's pretty.
Mental reminder.
It worked at our first shop.
Really?
Yeah.
You've been in there for 20 minutes?
Yeah. It was like less than that, like
It was a
5
10
minutes.
Yeah,
I'm going to
it was
assume
short.
he's death scrolling and not doing anything inappropriate in there.
I mean,
I'm just assuming he's death scrolling.
does the bathroom have a odor to it? I mean, like,
Yeah, no, I know there's sounds coming. Like, I know what he's doing in there, but
We joked about getting like a cell phone blocker just for the bathroom.
the cell phone blocking paint.
yeah, the Wi-Fi.
The tinfoil hat.
Yeah.
What?
I mean, is it bad that it comes to this?
What's that?
Is it bad that it comes to this?
That's usually never the problem, though. There's like something else.
It's always
going
a
on.
group problem.
We
You see it in the
learned
group
that.
constantly, right? It's like a tech's in the bathroom too much, and what do I do? How do I tell? Well, why is the tech? Why is he not? Want
I've
to
been
be in
that
the bay?
technician.
Why does he not want to be in his bay doing his work? And there's always a problem, right? It's just a signal.
Working through
it's a
it.
flag.
Yeah, I have a situation though where that guy does the exact same things at home. Like, he's got an actual medical issue, but he will not go to the doctor. I told him it's a B1 deficiency. That's what he needs.
Old Doc David.
What's that? It's B1. That's what I'm saying. You take some extra B1. I told him, I'm like, hey, you need some extra B1. I'm going to buy you the pills.
YouTube's definitely going to block this one now.
I know, right?
Oh, crap.
Giving medical.
I didn't think about it.
medical
No
advice.
No medical advice. I follow what the WHO says. WHO is the authority on anything in the CDC and the FDA. All the government agencies. I like them all. Even the IRS. Love them. I'm telling everybody this. Did you know that they created a whole agency, a whole division in the IRS just for pass-through entities? S Corp, C Corp, or S Corp, LLCs, DBAs.
They're coming for us.
They're coming for you. Yeah. And they said, and that we're only going to target multi-million-dollar operations. We're not going to go after, this family of four making $200,000 a year. We're not going to go after them. We're going to go after the $1 million operations. Except that, turns out, to date, they have audited more low-income people than they have
Because they don't have the money to
millionaires.
fight it.
They don't have the money to fight it. The percentage of, and here's the IRS disputes this because they say that we're sending more letters out to millionaires and telling them that they're being audited than low income. The problem is it never makes it to an agent actually doing the audit. That is a higher percentage of lower income earners are getting the agent auditing them than millionaires. It's 1.27% chance of having an agent audit you if you're low income versus a millionaire only sees it 1.1% of the time.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Not crazy?
It is. It is completely crazy. I don't know. I've kind of lost faith in our politicians. I watched this video the other day where a politician was explaining that AR stands for assault rifle.
Oh, you see those all the time. Yahoos don't know.
Well, I mean, they just don't understand. They just made a complete fool of themselves. I think we have found ourselves in a position where the people that have been elected and are put in power are terribly clueless.
No, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with completely clueless politicians. It is not the people that we elect. It's not them.
Okay. Who is
It's
it?
not them. It's all the people we didn't elect that are also making the rules. For example, we have lots of agencies in Washington that are entirely unelected that are then passing rules on things like, hey, how much junk is coming out of your exhaust pipe. Like, who elected you to make this rule? Oh, no, I was appointed by, I was hired by a guy that was appointed by somebody that you elected 45 years ago. And they created this agency. And then that guy's been in the head of this agency, and they just on and on it goes. And we made the rule. Right. Otherwise, they're going to cut our budget.
Right. They have to develop a job for themselves.
And they have to continuously push the standard, because if all of a sudden everything's clean, they don't have a job anymore. Right? So what are they going to do? It's like, oh, well, those standards are old standards. We need these newer standards.
That's happening here with the carb compliance. A lot of the...
I've seen that.
Do you guys run into any of that? No. Yeah. So
we live in the free state. I live in the free state of Kansas.
Very jealous.
Yeah, it's a nightmare. I mean, we have to... Catalytic converters, it's crazy. So, I mean, rough numbers, a cat that would have cost normally $600, right? Retails maybe around $1,000. Big parts vendors are selling them to us now for $1,000 just because it's carb compliant.
Yeah,
because they know what they have in stock local. You can order the same thing from MagnaFlow, whatever, right?
Yeah,
and you're getting the same part for $600, but they're like, no, we know what we have. You have to have a carb compliant cat, and so we'll sell it to you for $1,000. And now the new fake list number is $1,700. So the consumer sees a huge increase in cost in replacing cats, which are stolen daily in Denver.
Yeah,
and that's a constant problem here. But it has to be a carb compliant cat. So to replace it, what do? I mean, you can't just weld in a cat.
They're worth more because they are carb compliant, because the higher
you're compounding. You're compounding the problem.
Yep.
You know?
That makes it real hard too, is to sell a customer that. So for example, I have a 1993 Jeep Grand Cherokee and it needs a catalytic converter. And I called our exhaust shop and asked what it would be to have it welded in for me personally. And it was around $3,000. And I was like, a car that's not worth $3,000, you expect me to spend that kind of money putting a catalytic converter in just to make it?
So what it make
you? Yeah, but do you guys have like emissions testing?
Yeah. Yeah. So in the
certain counties.
Yeah, certain counties. So like what they call the high, what do they call it? It's a
high traffic. Or
whatever. There's a certain term for it, but there's certain counties in the Denver metro area, right? Denver, Jefferson County.
Are they actually sniffing?
Yeah.
And they're not just scanning?
A lot of the on-ramps to the highways, they will have
the quick pass stuff. But so when you do your emissions appointment, they go in, you on a dyno, it gets a tailpipe sniffer.
Wow.
If it's within 5 years or newer, then they'll just do a quick scan, and if no check engine light, you're good to go. But yeah, they scan it and they sniff them. So what's the
cutoff though? How old?
We do emissions on
I've seen
70s.
We've done
in
it
the
on
70s.
like
They do
idle 40s and
idle
CJ5s and
what?
stuff like that. Yeah,
they do idle
unreal.
test on if it's older than I can't remember the cutoff date. It's like 79.
But your 93 has to be.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. 80s.
I live in an emissions exempt county, so it doesn't matter for me. But
still, he can't go to a shop and have it worked on, because if he brought it into our shop and said, "Hey, we need to replace the cat because it's plugged up," we cannot replace the cat without putting a carb compliant cat in. Otherwise, we're bypassing emissions. So even though his county doesn't subscribe to that, it doesn't matter.
Did you guys voted this nonsense in?
I didn't vote it
that was
in.
long before I moved here.
It's crazy.
It makes you wonder. One of the things I've often thought about is there a directive in some of this? And North Carolina is doing away with some of the emissions, right? They're backing away. Much of the auto repair industry is saying like, hey, we don't want you to take emissions away. Well, because 1360 safety inspection, and they're almost saying they're going to do away with safety inspections too.
So we don't do safety anything.
Right. Well, so
which is why you see all those broke down cars on the side of the road. It's like Florida.
Well, so we don't have safety inspections in Kansas. You don't see the busted cars or whatever. Most of the sketchy cars come from Missouri, which has safety inspections. They do. They have safety inspections. They come over and they're like, when you see a Missouri plate at a Kansas shop, like 99% of the time, like not all. No,
the problem
like
is
60% of the time.
The problem is enforcement. The problem is enforcement, because they don't want to charge anybody to do the safety inspection, and they don't want to pay the shops to do the safety inspection. $13.60, and like 90 cents of that is the state's. And so you're basically getting $12 to inspect a car. And so just to pull it into the shop.
It's a marketing thing though.
Well, I understand that. But I guess my point in saying that is that they're talking about doing away with that in the state of North Carolina. Mm-hmm. So I don't necessarily have grounds for what I'm about to say, but it does make you wonder if the right people were in place, could they recommend emissions rules and laws and things that forced a consumer to buy a new vehicle? Is that possible?
What do you think they're doing?
I don't think it's that far-fetched. I think maybe I'm wrong, but I think they're kind of pushing that with electric vehicles.
Yeah. I mean,
They're 100% doing that with electric vehicles.
There's a local shop, I don't know, they're north of Boulder, I believe, but they actually got fined by the EPA because they were tuning Hondas. And they were selling like the Honda ECUs, and they almost had to shut their doors because they got so heavily fined by the EPA for modifying vehicles in a way that would cause them to fail emissions. And I don't think anyone's off limits, even if you're.
I don't even think it's failing. That's the thing is like it can still pass, it can sniff clean, but if you modify the emissions equipment, the letter of that law is so thin.
Yeah,
there's no gray
That's
area.
my point, though.
Right. And so my point is if it still passes and it still blows clean, why is it a problem? It's like the difference between 1 beer per hour and 5. I mean, you can have one if you still blow under 0.08, whatever your state is, right?
Yeah.
But that's not the same, right? It's
And the person that made that rule was not elected.
right. Yep.
That's the problem. You can get mad at the politicians all you want. They're just dummies. They're dummies.
Yeah.
Because if they knew how to do absolutely anything productive, they wouldn't be politicians.
You know whose fault this is? This is Scott Balava's fault. He's a politician and he's caused this.
He is a politician.
A bad one, but
My point stands. All I'm saying is
You just called him a dummy.
he's going to kill us.
it's funnier if you don't say it out loud. Anyways, he brought the coof on us. Now we all have the coof. What now? I'm fine.
I'm fine.
I'm a pureblood.
There's Seth Thorson. Might as well come on in. We're wrapping up here.
Yeah, we're wrapping up. Anyway, I'm a pureblood and therefore don't have to worry about it. That's how it works.
And there went our YouTube channel.
Shut down.
You guys are at risk. You're high risk.
They're not going to demonetize us. You know why? We don't make any money.
Can't take away what you don't have.
Yeah. What are they going to?
Don't have to worry about the IRS either.
Unfortunately, David has such a backlog at this point. He does
I've got a
have to worry
backlog.
about that.
One day
Not
they're
off
going to
limits
show up
yet.
at my door. And you know, that's the only thing I will say is I wish Lucas and Dutch Silverstein wild success, because one day I am going to have to call them and go, hey, so the IRS is here. I need a check.
I've got the David Fund going.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's steadily growing. I don't think it's growing to the rate at which it's going to require to get you out of an orange jumpsuit.
I just got
and
3
horse.
letters. I just got 3 letters.
Did you ever wear the orange jumpsuit?
No.
Would you wear it to AST?
I don't know where it is. Probably. I would wear it. I don't know.
Because, we're supposed to dress up for the go-kart race.
Yeah, I heard about that. I'm not going to participate in that nonsense.
You're not going to wear your jumpsuit to the...
No. I just got 3 letters. I don't even know what they say. I don't know what they said. They were long and wordy. They weren't a bill. I'm sure it was a demand for something. And a list of like name, address, social security number, all the stuff they wanted from me. I don't know. You know what it was?
Target letter.
It was that freaking ERC thing. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to try that and see what happens. Shouldn't have even messed with it. Shouldn't have messed with it. See what I try to get some of that tax money back? Yeah. Don't try to get that nonsense. Just
We're good.
leave it alone. Yeah.
Let it lie.
Thank you guys for being here.
Sure.
Absolutely. It was a pleasure.